Timbaland and Swizz sued Triller, claiming $28 million never paid to them from the Verzuz sale.
Mm.
Now I'm gonna read this article,
How
but
much of that was they about to share with the artist?
essentially what happened, and I'm gonna read the article too. We'll get into it. They're saying that they weren't paid for the sale. So if that's so, how did Triller actually stream their verses if they never paid them for it? You know what I'm saying? So that's like, let's just say we sold our show to Revolt. But Revolt said, you know what? I'm not paying you yet. But our show is streaming on Revolt anyway. How does that happen?
You know, we've been talking about disc records. I'd like to bring up an underrated disc record
What's
by
that?
Snoop Dogg. It's called Pimp Slap.
Pimp slap?
Pimp Slap. Don't get Pimp Slap.
Somebody said
Back to
Triller's
you, Mike.
broke. Okay. Well, let me go to this article real quick. Actually, I see a super chat, and then I'll get to the article. Man says, that's what happened when you sell out the culture. I have a different perspective on it. We're going to get there. Basically, it said 18 months after Timbaland and Swizz sold their popular Verzuz live stream series to Triller, the two are now suing the social media platform allegedly for failing to pay them a whopping $28 million that they are still owed from the deal. Triller is a TikTok service. We know what Triller is. It says, but in the lawsuit filed Tuesday in Los Angeles Superior Court, Timbaland and Swizz say that Triller has failed to actually pay the company it purchased. Wait a minute, how does that happen? Okay, after initial payments last year and early that year, the pair of hitmakers say that the company has refused to hand over more than $28 million that are still owed. Defendants have failed to refuse to respond to the plaintiff written notice and demand for payment. The pair's lawyers wrote in a complaint. To date, defendants have failed to blah blah. All right, let me go to the next part of it. Wrong part. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. In a statement on Tuesday, Triller called the lawsuit truly unfortunate. This is the part that got me. In a statement Tuesday evening, Triller called the lawsuit truly unfortunate and said it hopes that it was nothing more than a misunderstanding driven by lawyers. We do not wish to air out dirty laundry in the press, but we have paid Swizz and Tim millions in cash and stock, the company wrote. No one has benefited as much from Triller to date. Triller has helped fuel Verzuz to new heights, making it a global cultural phenomenon it is today. Wow, hold up. Triller's taking credit for making Verzuz what it is. Do you remember what the first Verzuz was on Triller? Because I don't. All the ones that we remember were before Triller even got involved. They sat there and took credit for making Verzuz a global phenomenon. Well, in short, I think it was an update too. Let's see, I got it right here. Triller says that they have paid over $50 million in cash and stocks to Swizz and Tim to date. And they claim that the duo
How much?
They said they paid them $50 million.
A piece?
Probably together.
25?
Yeah.
So,
and they said
no, taxes. No, taxes. So 25 million. And then they gotta split that 25, which is about 12.5.
And they're saying that the duo have not met thresholds for receiving additional earned out payments. So that's what it is. I think that the quote unquote incentives is what they're suing for.
You see, at least the mafia is organized, okay? Okay, at least the mafia is organized. You see, when you get involved with the mob, at least there's an organization, there's a structure. They don't have any organization or structure with who they fucking with. They just got bent over.
I don't even think that's what it is. You know my theory. And I'll go over my theory again Shout out to the 400 people in the room, man. And I know my man Mikael said not to do that, but I want to shout out to the people in the room. Look, my theory for the people who haven't been following our show since the beginning, I don't fit. What do they own exactly?
They don't own nothing.
I personally believe that the owners of quote unquote Verzuz, and hit the like button, everybody. We getting heavy in here. The owners of Verzuz are the major record labels, the publishing houses, the people who actually own the music, right? And so it's kind of showing here. That's who Triller paid. Triller's telling y'all, man, I know who I paid, God. I know who I paid. They were supposed to break y'all off. And I guess they didn't. Whatever. That ain't my fault. Because really, when you think about it, what do you really own with Verzuz? If you don't own the actual music, right? Swizz and Tim don't own the music. What's stopping Bun B and Big Boy from just saying, you know what, we're going to get our following and we're going to go on Instagram Live and just start playing Outkast and UGK records and do our own verses? What's stopping that from happening? And I honestly feel like, let's just say hypothetically, them niggas did go rogue and went out there and started a company like this and was playing all these, different artists' music. They would have all kind of lawsuits out there, not just from the publishers, but from the people who sampled these records. You know what I'm saying? Like, how did you actually sell a company when you're using nothing but music you don't own? So this right here, like I said, if you had something straight up that was yours and Triller purchased it and they didn't give you everything that they said they were going to give you, then why was your shit streaming on their platform? If that's the case, sounds like they paid who they needed to pay. Just saying.
The world is filled with pimps and hoes. We'll just talk about those I know.
Shout out to 007 in the room, man. We had a good time. Man, we kicked it with 007 this past weekend, man. We had a good time in the city. He said, peace, kings. Artists should be smart enough to have ghostwriters and artists who bear witness to sign an NDA to protect their brand. Also, Swizz and Timbo got to do better. They got the money to have lawyers properly dig through the contracts. But see, again, I don't think, this is my theory overall, right? I feel like the major record labels created this idea of Verzuz, and they basically just used Timbaland and Swizz as figureheads to sell it to the public. Right. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Because we saw it when Crazy Bone and DJ Paul were about to do their verses, and they were about to go rogue and do their shit on their own. Crazy Bone got a call from Swizz. That shit got shut down. You know what I mean?
Quickly.
Yeah.
Expeditiously.
Yeah.
Expeditiously.
Yeah.
Fast.
And you had Bun B out here for years.
Like,
right. Exactly. That's not, what kind of phone conversation is going to do that? That's ownership talking.
Told you.
Jay Short says, Swizz and Tim got laid off 2 weeks before retirement.
Lost your job on Friday, nigga.
So yes, Triller is saying that they paid them. And so you know what kind of stood out to me too was when they said, what they say, dirty laundry?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it was in this part of it. They said, we do not wish to air out our dirty laundry in the press. You know what that tells me, man? That tells me, don't make us tell people who really owns this.
That's what it sounds
like. don't make us really tell people the truth about what Verzuz really is.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's pretty much what that is.
I'm gonna go further with this theory, right? So let me jump on 10-4 Koofy. So obviously, Tim and Swizz for now are separating themselves from Verzuz, but sounds like Triller has the rights to do Verzuz somehow, right? So, since it's being departed from hip hop, now Triller can go out there and do a Justin Bieber and Justin Timberlake Verzuz, right? Even if they want to change the name or even call it that, now they can do a Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera Verzuz. Since hip hop's kind of stepped away from it because these two guys have a discrepancy, right? Is that possible, or am I going too far?
I don't think that you are, because cultural appropriation is real. And what do I keep telling you? You have to be more mindful about the people who you delegate power and infrastructure and even the ideas to. Is that you've been speaking about the politics and the possibilities of what it could be behind the scenes for some time, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I've been speaking more to the cultural and foundational aspect of, like, how did it end up in the hands of Timberland and Swizz? And I told you, it's like, because those aren't the guys that should be, like, really, like, our gatekeepers of this in this format in order for it to stay alive. And so, you know, your theory and your thesis is a little bit longer than mine for once, because it's usually in the reverse. But although my thesis and my idea is briefer than yours, like, the outcome is the same, which is they fucking up.
They took it.
They fucking up.
They took the whole Verzuz format. Now they own it, right?
Because they fucking up, though. Right.
LP says,
right.
All them dinners with Hov and ain't learned is shaking my head. I mean,
shaking my head.
I think they got what they wanted.
This is how appropriation happens. You understand? Yeah. They find them a black man or woman that's just hungry enough and greedy enough, even though they're already extremely rich to the point that you could call both of these men wealthy. They're still greedy enough that white entities, not people, entities, as in the organization, the company, the corporate structure, the institutional racism, the systemic racism, the mark of cultural appropriation in our entertainment and music business. This is how it happens. They go find Swizz and Timberland instead of going to find KRS-One and Nas.
No, they're not gonna put them in charge of nothing like
you
this.
You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's what I've been trying to, like, mark. Like, this historically happens to us in every framework. Pay attention to when it's happening in the hip-hop framework. This isn't me being a hater. I just know how the motherfucking game gets played because I'm a real player.
I think we called this, though, man.
We called this on both sides literally years ago now. I was like, I don't like them being in control or dictating shit. And you were like, hold on, how are they dictating anything? We're both right.
Yeah, because the thing is, man, with me, and, you know, I kind of have a lot of experience when it comes to streaming and music and, you know, even with us and our Patreon, and just knowing what you can do and you can't do online when it comes to sync licensing and publishing and all that stuff. I'm sitting here looking at the Verzuz, especially in its primitive state. I'm like, how are these guys able to do this? And not only how are these guys able to do this, how are the actual artists not able to do this without them? That was the part that really got me.
Mike.
Yeah.
OGTK Cole said he needs a back channel to me or you ASAP. You can follow me, DM me on Instagram, and you and me and Mike are gonna talk. And so I'm gonna put Coop in right here so you see, like, my handle name. My name's Armand Colin Damar Cooper. So
I was gonna say your Twitter's right there.
Go DM me on IG, and I'm gonna tag Mike in, and we'll talk on the back end.
And if you're on Twitter,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but go.
No, I was just gonna say, if he's on Twitter, Coop's Twitter is at the bottom of the screen too, at Coop_A2HH. So he could probably, you know, inbox you there too. Or if you want to inbox info@accordingtohiphop.com, we get that too. The Dermont Show says, this always happens when black men are involved with money. We can't ever keep something of our own. We gotta sell out. You're right.
This is a stressful show, Mike. This is a stressful show.
But see, I understand what y'all are saying, but see,
I don't feel like they ever
had anything to sell anyway. I don't think that they're even. They might be the owners of the name Verzuz, maybe. But again, I feel like the publishing houses, the major record labels, they're the ones that own this. They're doing the deals that they want to do. Swizz and Tim are just figureheads. And Triller probably paid who really owns it. And that money didn't trickle down to Tim and Swizz like they said it was going to. And now publicly they have to go after Triller because they can't go after the people that put them in position. Because it dilutes the brand altogether.
This is what I mean. About how, Mike, when slavery ended and blacks were freed in the South, this is almost the equivalent of like when the blacks would go buy the land, and because the blacks couldn't read the contract properly, even though they were free, they pretty much indebted themselves to the white man for the rest of their life in a form of indentured servitude in order to become a owner of land. Right. This is literally the same premise that ruined us post-slavery in the Reconstruction era, along with other factors. But one of the factors that played into that was our literal lack of literacy and knowledge about reading paperwork and understanding things that are binding or not, and literally working ourselves to death and then dying and having the white man do what? Take the land back when we die. This is the same thing. And this is what I mean about not learning our fucking lesson. This shit has literally been happening to us in every format that we can speak of post-slavery. And so I just want people to pay attention to what's going on.
You know what I think is really, again, that was the aha moment for me too, when Triller got really gangster with this one sentence where they said, they got really gangster when they said, Triller has helped fuel Verzuz to new heights, making it a global cultural phenomenon that it is today. I'm just going to be real, man.
Mike, they just took their corner. That's my corner now.
Yeah, they want their corners back.
You run this block. Get your ass off this block, nigga. Right now.
What Cube say? They want their corners back, man.
You got 15 minutes.
That's gangster, man. Because I can't even tell you which Verzuz was on Triller, which was Triller's first Verzuz broadcast. Because I remember the biggest one was the Gucci and Jeezy. They hadn't done a deal with Triller yet. The DMX and Snoop, they hadn't done a deal with Triller yet. Obviously, with the Babyface damn. Well, I want to say Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, because that's what it should have been. But you know what I'm talking about, Blackstreet.
Oh, Teddy Riley.
Teddy Riley, yeah. The Babyface and Teddy Riley, obviously, that was well before. The ones that were the most famous were well before Triller. Triller sitting here taking credit for Verzuz, and they didn't do any of the work. This is what they set themselves up for. Allegedly.
We've literally been setting ourselves up for this in this country since we have been free. I'm tired.
Well,
I'm tired, like for real. Like people just need to pay the fuck attention. That's why it's like everything that you were saying, I was like, no, I hear you. I was like, but this is what I mean. A black man in his greatness with real fortitude and integrity and power, they change shit. Bill Russell, Jim Brown, Kareem. Those are real gatekeepers. You feel what I'm saying? That's why when these dudes got chosen, I was like, oh, we can't get Chuck D to run this shit. We can't get Chris to run it. You feel what I'm saying? Not these guys. That's all I was saying from the jump. And this is the evidence.
Jay Short with the super chat.
They will get you culturally appropriated out here. And while our culture is getting appropriated, they just trying to sue so they can put some more money in their fucking pockets. They don't even care.
Right. What about the artists, right?
Right. Like I said, Mike, you ain't heard them say nothing about. Have you heard any artist talk about the money that they've made other than their streams going up? Right. And I bet you, Swizz and Timberland think that that's enough because they have
with the streams,
idea. This is the definition of cultural appropriation and systemic and institutional racism manifested in the music industry. It is literally how this shit happens.
The streams don't pay a lot, and your streams going up for a day or so. That's not, Jay Short with the super chat says, Mike, I think the plan was always to move Verzuz pop. With Swizz and Tim knew that, and this lawsuit is them trying to save face. Tim don't deserve benefits of no doubt. I'm sorry, not no doubt. Benefit of the doubt. Swizz does. I'm sorry. Tim doesn't deserve benefit of the doubt. I was gonna say next verses we're probably gonna get Avril Lavigne and Pink. I can see that. Now it's wide open to do that because again, let's just say Triller's like, look, maybe we need to move away from the hip hop stuff because if we do hip hop without Tim and Swizz involved, then it's not going to do well because people are going to want to support Tim and Swizz. So let's just change direction altogether. That's probably, like he said, what they want to do anyway. LP says Swizz was acting like he was a boss and downplayed a lot of our legends. He did do that. He acted like he was giving them a favor. He tried UGK, Bone, and 8-Ball MJG. Yeah, I had a problem with that. And I had a problem with the way he came at Bone after the fact, man. That wasn't cool. That wasn't cool at all, talking about Bone don't get shows. I know people personally. Yeah, we had Bone's DJ on our show. They do a lot of shows.
Hold on.
Yeah.
And
Positions like Bone's DJ.
Hold on. Like Bones, first two albums in particular, their album sales rival DMX's peak album sales.
Bones one of those rare acts in hip hop where they have such a core following and they got a crossover following too.
No, I can remember them doing 3-4 million both times.
Yeah.
Both times. Easily.
Yeah.
Years before Swizz was a producer. Like,
yeah.
Stop that.
Bones not starving for shows. And when Swizz made that comment talking about, y'all don't do shows and hang out, whatever, I was like, yo, that's too much, man.
It's funny. I'm about to say that's funny because we talked to the DJ when he just got back from where?
He was all over the place. I forget. He was
right.
He was talking about what their tour schedule was like.
He was like, yeah, we was just here. I was like, oh, yeah. He was like, and then we had the show. He's like, I remember when we did the show there. He was literally shouting out countries and states like at the drop of a dime. So it looks like Bone is doing just motherfucking fine without verses because show money is how you make your real rap money.
Yeah. Jay Short says Pete Rock and Primo did a Verzuz tour years ago. It's true. They did. LP says 60% of the worth is lost by the second generation, Coop. They don't take it back. We give it back, shaking my head. 80% gone by the third generation. Lack of education sets us back. It's true. I think, and being very trusting too, right? To the point where...
You get what he's saying.
Yeah. Mark Arthur with the super chat says, in my opinion, they should have never sold the Verzuz company. Why do we always sell our ownership? It's key. And you know what? Again, I have my theories that they never owned it in the first place because they don't own the publishing. But even if they did, hypothetically, why are you selling something like that so early?
Well, here's what I would say. Even to that. We have to start changing how we have to start changing the idea of what wealth should mean to us.
Right.
Because the acquisition of wealth here, I keep telling you, Mike, this is part of the reason that I don't want to live here full time once my daughter is grown enough to be on her own, is because the way that wealth and money and acquisition and the power structure works here is a white man's world and a white man's game. And so anything that you do here, for me, anything that you do here business-wise, that you are not funneling outside of this country is a mistake as a black man.
Is that not a global thing, though? I mean, because we see how colonized certain African countries are as well.
I mean, it's just like, how about this? It's just like, just like there are some states that are better than others within the United States and more better for you to live.
Right.
It works like that in every other country and continent. You know what I'm saying? Like I met a girl yesterday that I work with. She's from Brazil, but she's from like a northern state, like about an hour north of Rio. It's smaller. It's more familial. It's not the ruckus that Rio is. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
It's different ways to live in different areas. And us as American blacks have just been so fucking brainwashed, to be quite frank, that we don't understand how kingly we are outside of here. And so for all of us, for the acquisition of it, it's like, if you want to sell it, That's fine. Like, first of all, do your due diligence in your paperwork and make sure you're maximizing what it is that you're actually putting forth with your ideas and all of that. And also, too, don't keep your fucking money here. You can't trust these white people or this system. I am literally bringing up Reconstruction, post-slavery, and comparing it to the music business today, and viably and accurately making the connection. There is something wrong. There's something wrong with this system as it relates to anybody that's not a white man, quite frankly.
And Triller's actually a very young company too. That was another thing that kind of struck me by the sale initially. I think I might have said that in the episode when we were talking about the sale. It was the fact that Triller's a very young company, so it's not like it can provide infrastructure and just credibility that these guys haven't amassed over their career. You know, Esquire 601 with the super chat. We got attorneys in here too. He said artists love to play the support the culture card when it serves their own interests. CEA boycotting the Grammys after worshiping them for years.
See, and this is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I'm a Kanye guy, and you're right.
Black Americans with disposable income, like real disposable income, they do one of two things. Mike, they live and invest outside of this country, or they travel constantly outside of this country. There is a fucking reason for that, including these artists. You know, these artists that y'all are talking about don't be here half the time.
Coop, you there? You kind of paused out. Okay, you there. Yeah, you there.
Like, they don't be here. Black people with money do not stay in the United States.
Well, they make their money in the United States, and like you said, they'll live their lives elsewhere and stuff.
Yeah, they go on the award tour to quote a Tribe Called Quest. It's like hold on, how's it go? Santorini, Greece. When you hear Rick Ross doing the Santorini, Greece thing, and Turks and Caicos, St. Thomas, Ibiza, Pusha T talking about Ibiza on Untouchable, talking about the Maldives. Like, that's really what they do. They don't be here with their money. Mike, for all the traveling that I've done, the only thing that I see that America has over everywhere else that I've been is the consistency with which the hot water flows out the fucking shower.
Well-versed Sessions with the super chat says, sounds like Swizz still holds a grudge because of that failed Full Surface Bone album. Yeah, he was talking to them crazy, man. I was like, those used to be your artists at one point. 007 says, how Brazilian shorty look, Coop. Bring me around again. Yo, man, 007 got on this chick
snap.
So bad.
She looks like Penelope Cruz, fam. No bullshit aside.
Yo, 007 got on a bad one this weekend. But yeah, where do you think Verzuz goes from here? Do you think it's just over? You think they're gonna settle this and smooth it over? And do you think Triller just takes it?
I mean, when you're saying, I'm pretty certain that when you're talking about Verzuz now, you're talking from like a hip hop perspective. You're saying what happens to it with our culture?
Let's just say both. What happens with Triller moving forward, and what happens with Verzuz moving forward?
I mean, this is what I mean about how the appropriation works too, because you and I have been sitting up here talking about it. It's like, well, where are the viable verses, and where is this and that?
Yeah,
and that.
You're right. The timing is crazy because the timing comes when they run out of juice anyway. Right.
It's like, well, all the other, think about it. I mean, the only thing that's really on the table that it seems like that would rejuvenate it for the black community would be if like Nas and Jay would do it, right?
True. Or if they want to do, well, see, I don't even know how this is going to work, but like if a Jodeci and Boyz II Men would do it, like I think that's one that's doable based on, where those individual acts are now. But I don't know if that's
big enough.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if
that hurts me to say that that's not big enough. That's crazy. That's Jodeci and Boyz II Men, man.
My family grew up like literally knowing Jodeci.
Yeah.
Like, we're from Charlotte, so it's like, how you think that makes me feel? They're still my favorite R&B band of all time, obviously. Like, I'm biased. My cousin who taught me about hip hop was their first backup dancer, along with another nigga named Silky. Like,
they're the best R&B group of the '90s, in my opinion.
Not even a question of that.
I would say the only other question would be In Vogue, but
No, In Vogue's better than Jodeci. Yeah. All four of them can sing.
I agree with you, but when it comes to Jodeci, they have two singers, a writer, and a producer. That's what makes Jodeci very different than its contemporaries. You could put Jodeci in the studio with just the four of them.
No,
Yeah.
well, here's the thing. In Dalvin, you have a verified drummer, and in Devontae, you have a verified songwriter. Oh, that's fucking helps. That helps.
That's crazy. You
But
could lock those guys in the studio and they could come out with an album.
how about this?
Everybody
you wanna know
else
what it
has
is?
to
It's
get
like,
help.
It's like this. Never has anybody trotted out 4 Hall of Fame vocalists like that.
I agree with you
Except
now.
for the Temptations.
Singer for singer, In Vogue is probably the strongest singing group vocally.
Ever.
It possibly is because
between them and the Temptations.
Because not only has every single member sung lead on an important song for the group, whenever any of them have to fall back and sing backup, they have perfect harmonies on top of that.
Well, here's the thing about it. Okay, so this is what I mean about the singing. And this is where they're even separated themselves from the Temptation. Well, all 4 of those girls can sing alto, tenor, or soprano for you.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know how rare that is? All 4 of them can sing alto, tenor, and soprano. Like, no group has that.
Otis ain't singing lead, and I say that respectfully. You know what I mean?
I mean that
Otis started
there's
the group.
There's not 4 singers in any group in any sort of history that can sing alto, tenor, and soprano, and then switch flawlessly from lead singer to backup singer to a motherfucker just riffing at the back end of the record. No,
they lose nothing when any of their members are singing lead. Like you could go to all of their singles, and you'll be like, damn. They lose nothing.
Damn.
They lose nothing. It's never
Damn.
like, and I'm going to bring this group up because they have a clear star in Destiny's Child, right? If somebody else other than Beyonce singing lead, it's a whole different group. If somebody in the Jackson 5 is singing lead other than Michael, like when Jermaine was singing lead on a lot of those records that unfortunately, Motown didn't put out, they were good records, but they sound like a whole different group. With En Vogue, you lose nothing.
Hey, here's all you really need to know about how dope they are. Their biggest star is Dawn. That's their worst singer.
You think Dawn was the worst singer? I think she had the biggest star power, but
She's the biggest star. She has the worst voice. But that's not saying much.
She had the most unique voice.
She still outsing almost everybody else. In that group, though, she's the worst singer. She's the funky diva. She's the funky part of the diva.
True. Adriel Green with the super chat says, y'all do remember the Ron Browns got blackballed for Jay after Ether. Hit Boy ain't trying to let Interscope Machine do the same to him. And this
Ron
is true.
Brown's got pop champagne off and then he disappeared.
Well, see, I've always thought the DOA was more so about him than T-Pain. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Jay was coming at T-Pain like that. And, Jay would never say this because he never wants to make Ron Browns prominent in that way, so he's not going to speak of his name. But Ron Browns was going off of the moniker Ether Boy. He had to go.
Ether Boy.
He was around here calling himself Ether Boy. You're like, nah, man, we can't have that. Dante Smith with the super chat says, Coop is right. Either Jay versus Nas or Beyonce versus Rihanna can save Verzuz.
That's the one. That's the real hitter.
That's
the real hitter.
Neither one of them are happening. Jay's not going to compete with anybody, and Beyonce's not going to compete with anybody. Now, what about this one? Because both of these guys said they would do it. What about Chris Brown and Usher?
Did they say they would do it?
They said they would do it.
We need to pull up on that expeditiously.
They need to make that happen.
Now I told you Usher on the tiny desk is up here doing nice and slow in my way, and I'm like, it's 25 years later. I was in high school. It still sounds great. That was my freshman year of high school when My Way came out.
I'm going to see Usher in Vegas in September because we pushed that trip back, right? So Usher's a great performer still. But you don't want to perform against Chris Brown right now at his age. He's like 10 years younger. It's not right.
No, I don't agree with you. Usher's only a few years older than us, and he's still got something in the back.
He's great. No. It's different when you're 43 and you're 33. No. It is.
No. This is what I'm saying is that.
And not to mention, Chris will be a better dancer than him in his prime, too.
He's a better dancer than him.
Yeah. Nowhere near a better singer.
But that's it.
That's big.
He doesn't have the better songs. He doesn't have the better songs. He doesn't listen to this. He's not that much better of a dancer and a stage performer. He does not have the songs.
Okay, I'm with you on the song.
Like,
Partly,
because Usher songs, people are literally going to know. How about this? How many Chris Brown songs do people really know word for word? Because I can think of about 10 to 12 Usher songs off rip that when he drops them, people are going to know every word.
Chris got
And
a
you know it.
lot of music. What do y'all think in the chat? I want to see what the people in the chat got to
Listen,
say.
you're going against Usher. You
Yeah.
got to play your best shit.
I want to see what the people in the chat got to say. Let me go through these super chats real quick. Jay Short says Tony washes Jodeci in a Verzuz. You might have to count
I love that
some.
matchup. I love Tony.
You might
because
have
that's
to
a lot
pull
of
out
winners.
some Raphael Sadiq stuff to do that though, and that's very possible.
Hold on, think about this. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to call. You got it bad. Confessions. Let it burn. My way. Nice and slow. You were. You make me wanna. Like, he's like, these are all word for word songs. People know the reason. Know the words to. You can go back to his first single, "Think of You." All the time I think of you.
I don't know if that's gonna age well against Chris. Chris is so current.
That's age better than most of Chris's stuff. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
So?
It's like,
If
yeah,
Chris
that
goes
sounds
out
more
there
like.
and
Here's the thing about it. If this is an R&B battle, well, it's like, well, a lot of that shit that Chris is making sounds like it's some like rap R&B like fusion. Like, he's in the rhetoric. That's what I'm saying. It's like, he ain't beating Usher on this. He's not beating Usher's 20 best songs.
I think that puts Usher at a disadvantage if he comes with the rap hip hop stuff. Like,
I know, like, if he does like the Look at Me Now stuff, like, that's not going to win against Usher. Like,
I
you're not
don't even
beating
know
Usher
if he's
with that.
gonna. I don't know if he would even go there. I wasn't even thinking about that record.
But that's some of his best stuff. That's what I'm saying. Like, his best stuff, it's not going to go well for him. No. He's got the dancing. That's it.
Let me get to the chat.
And Usher for a night can dance comparably or dance well enough. That's like, it's like this. You want to know what that is? It's like, well, Prince isn't a better dancer than Mike, but how about them songs? Right. How about his stage performance? That's a great
comparison. I don't want to go back and forth on that now.
No, because Prince is a great dancer, but he's not Mike.
No, Prince is a great dancer.
Actually. He's right, but nobody talks about it because guess what? Mike.
Yeah.
So it's like when you talk about Chris Brown, it's like, no. People forget Usher was there first and was a great ass dancer. He was considered to be.
What would you rate Prince as a dancer on a scale from 1 to 10? I'm gonna go 8. A strong 8.
Okay, so Mike, you name me how many male dancers can do a full spin pirouette and then go into a split and pop back up.
I knew you were going to go there.
Table. And then you can take that 8 off the table and give him the 10 that he deserves.
I'm going to give him a 9.
Right.
I'm going to give him a 9.
Right. I'm going to give him a 9 on a bad day. Hold on, as a dancer, hold on, what's the 10? It's like, how about
Michael
this?
Jackson?
If Michael Jackson and James Brown are the 10, then those are the only 10s we giving out.
This is true. Well, what about Jackie Wilson? Jackie Wilson was mean.
I don't have enough live footage of me watching Jackie Wilson to confirm that, even though other people have confirmed. So if you want to feel that way, that's fine. But that's also like the old person that hasn't seen Chris Brown. It's like, I think if you're saying Michael Jackson and James Brown are a 10, then Prince is a 9.
I think what separates Michael from those others is the choreography and just being able to take on choreographed,
I think he's just the most seamless dancer ever. Like, his literal motion or movement, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. Like, with any part of his body, like at any given moment. Like, even, how about this? On the Scream video, I think Janet's one of the best dancers ever either. Like, you can see even on screen the difference in like how fluid Mike moves versus how fluid Janet moves. And it's like, Janet's nasty as a dancer. Take it from somebody that's actually been fortunate enough to dance with Janet Jackson. She is nasty. Like, it is poetry in motion. And next to her brother, it's like, so he's the best dancer ever.
I think Chris Brown's a 10 too. Mad Max with the super chat says, LOL, watch Nas and Hov do one now eventually.
Right.
Let's see. Let me get to these super chats. I know we're missing a lot. Mad Max says, LOL, they ain't New Edition. All of them guys got a number 1 by themselves.
That's 80s. That's the 80s. New Edition is 80s.
Yeah.
Home Again came out in 96, but that's the only 90s material.
Yeah. New Edition's 80s. And I think
Home
New
Again
Edition.
Home Again is dope. Yeah, Home Again's dope.
Michael Williams with the super chat says, do you think Scarface is better than every member of the Wu-Tang? If not, where would you rank him in the group? He goes right after Ghost for me.
That's great. Overall, he's better than all of them, including Ghost. But I would have Ghost literally like, there's my personal list, and then there's my objective list. On my objective list, I think Scarface and Ghostface typically fall right next to each other at 6 and 7. And so I will tell you, I think he's actually overall better than every member of the Wu-Tang, but barely over Ghost.
Well-versed Session says, shocked about Tim? He's always sold his product/art to the highest bidder. His best-selling produced albums were with white pop artists.
Yep.
You know, when I first heard Future Sex Love Sounds, and I don't want to go down this road again, but fuck it, I will. The reason why Future Sex Love Sound even happened the way it did, because Timbaland didn't stand for it with the Neptunes. The Neptunes had Clips as their artists. They were going through what they were going through with Jive. And both Timbaland, Scott Storch, and the Neptunes produced Justin Timberlake's first album, Justified. Yep. So after that, and while the Clips were going through what they were going through with Jive Records, Justin Timberlake being Jive Records' cash cow as a solo artist at that time, the Neptunes said, you know what, we're not working with Justin's second album, until y'all get things right with the Clips. And in that form of protest where, Timbaland could have held fort with his people that he went way back with, not just the Neptunes, but Clips as well. He knows these guys personally. They grew up together. He crossed the picket line and said, fuck it, I will produce the whole Justin Timberlake album, Future Sex Love Sounds.
No, let's stop.
And go ahead.
No, go ahead. No,
I was going to say, I remember when Justin debuted My Love on the MTV Video Music Awards. I think he opened with that, and that was the first time we heard it. Mm-hmm. In my mind, I was like, this sounds like a Genuine record. I've heard Genuine do this record a million times over.
Easily.
Yeah.
So, I was actually, part of the reason why I follow Re-Up Gang so heavy? It was some of my East Coast Southern hip hop when I was in Cali. Mm-hmm. When they were going through all that stuff with Jive and dropping the Re-Up Gang stuff, I was in Cali. I used to have to go online on LimeWire and load their stuff up on my little Philips MP3 player. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Right.
When he dropped Sexy Back, Southern California, like explosion with the white populace of epic proportions. And I'm like, and I was listening to the beat, I'm like, it sounds like Timbo.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds like Timberland. And I'm starting to peep what's going on with Jive and the Clips and everything as well, because they're starting to put out little blogs and blurbs and and I'm like, and I'm finding out the stuff that you're finding out. Now, people have to understand, Future Sexy Love Sounds is like Timberland. It's not just Justin Timberlake's moment. No, that's Timberland's moment, too. Mm-hmm. That's when he ascended into the land of Nelly Furtado and pop ascension. And
Nelly came first, but yeah, it was the Nelly Furtado album Loose was a build up to that. But Nelly kind of split the difference, yeah, because they did Promiscuous and all that stuff. But
that's
he didn't do
Promiscuous is before Future Sexy Love Sounds?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that kind of built up for it. But see, he didn't do everything on Loose. But he did everything.
He did everything on the following one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he did everything on Future Sex Love Sounds, though.
Okay.
And Mad Max with the super chat says Usher is gonna beat Chris, but Chris got a lot of crossover pop records, so it's close.
I keep asking people to name them. Like I said, name them songs that you can sing word for word from Chris Brown like that. Just name them to me. Like, I'm not being funny, but name them. Because people talk about how great. Like, because here's the thing. You want to know what? It's very Beyonce. Like, it's like when I be like, well, name the records, not the performance. I'm not talking about the performer. I'm not talking about if the person can sing. I'm not talking about if the person can dance. I'm like, but what about the songs? Because here's the thing about it. Usher can sing and dance and perform, and he's got the fucking songs. Where are the songs? Show me the songs that you can sing word for Chris Brown. Show me 10 of them right now. I just ran down about 7 or 8 of Usher songs off the top of my head. It was easy.
I need to go prepare a list.
Hold on. I didn't even bring a Bad Girl. I keep a pocket full of dimes, pimping ain't easy. Niggas know that shit.
Somebody said Moving Mountains. T. Nitty said, New Edition, 4 solo singers come out of their camp. I'm going to tell you this, man. Nobody wants a New Edition as a collective. Well, you got Johnny Gill's career. You got New Edition's career. You got Belle Biv DeVoe's career. You got Bobby Brown's career. And then you got a couple of hits from my man Ralph Tresvant. I ain't trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying.
Yes, but on a singing front, Mike, it's Ralph and Johnny. You understand that, right? And
I will say
Vogue is
this.
still 4 deep.
I mean, for the New Edition catalog, it's definitely Ralph. You know what I'm saying? Like, Ralph is the strong guy on the New Edition catalog. And I think that that's why Can You Stand the Rain is my favorite New Edition record.
I mean, Ralph is the real lead singer at New Edition. Can we just say that?
He's
when you go
sound.
to the records, Ralph is the lead singer.
Oh, definitely.
Like, from beginning to end, Ralph's the lead singer.
I think Johnny Gill's the best singer in the group, but yeah, I think Ralph is the lead singer of New Edition. And I love how on Can You Stand the Rain that Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis were able to fit both Ralph and Johnny in so seamlessly. Like, they both are equally important on it, and it's beautiful when it comes together like that.
Well, here's why Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis are who they are.
Mm-hmm.
They found a track and picked a record that actually fit Ralph's falsetto and Johnny's baritone equally great, the same. It's one of the best R&B songs ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And Ricky Bell even had his moment on that record. It's incredible.
You know, Ricky can sing. I don't want to discount Ricky, too. Ricky's a great jazz singer.
Of course he can sing. I mean, listen, we wouldn't have Bell Biv DeVoe if it wasn't for Ricky.
There's no Bell Biv DeVoe without Ricky, because the rest of them other two can't sing like that. Ronnie's more of a dancer and performer. Mike's more of an entrepreneur, hustler, rap. Like Mike's everything but a singer, actually. Right. He just happens to know how to harmonize real well.
Right. Andre Shashir with the super chat says Chris has the songs. Chris Brown.
Hold on. You want to know what? You know, Michael Bivins is really the first real Puff. Like Michael Biv is actually Puff first.
He is.
That's where Puff really get his steez from. Like, Puff the rapper might be Mace, but Puff the businessman is Michael Bivins.
I agree with you. Yeah. I remember when I first heard Motown Philly or whatever. Remember that video back then? Like, Michael Bivins had a whole crew. Shit, 702 was with Michael Bivins too, right?
That was Subway, 702, Boys to Men, ABC,
yeah,
BBD, the East Coast Family.
Never skipped a beat. Ohio K with the super chat says, "Let R. Kelly do a Verzuz from the pen." Y'all are wild.
First track he needs to play, It Seems Like You're Ready, with a whole bunch of niggas in the background chanting with lighters up.
Mad Max with the super chat says, "Coop, don't do Prince, man. Ain't Michael Jackson, this Prince ain't Michael Jackson, period. Besides playing instruments, Prince done got more spin than Mike. Tired of old heads saying it. Nah, Prince was a great dancer. I can't front. And I'm a Michael Jackson guy. I got to give Prince his props when it comes to that. I want to make sure we get through all these super chats too. So you think Verzuz is over?
I think we need to end it. This is what I like. Remember when we were talking on here, and I was like, "Don't worry about that." I said they don't know what to do with it. I said we just gonna take that from them. And then literally a week later, they popped up talking about something. Like literally a day or two after we did that show, they're like, "We still here. We doing it for the culture." Whoop, whoop, whoop. It's like, yeah. You watch the show, but we know what you're really doing. You selling out.
Jay Short says, and Mike, Tim gave Justin his A+ beats. Eric Terrell says Swizz and Tim was desperate for a win, so they fall for the banana in the tailpipe.
They're already wealthy. That's what I understand about it. It's not like they're starving artists. It's like this is what I mean about how money, power, and fame like corrupts, and how they shouldn't have been the gatekeepers of really this anyway. Because what I told you, Mike, you remember when I said it's like I don't care how much you have my favorite MC right next to you, rapping the bars to Verbal Intercourse Live. I still don't believe you. This is why. You remember when he had Nas next to him rapping Verbal Intercourse Live? And I was like, I still don't believe the nigga. Welcome to Today. That was a year ago. Welcome to Today and why I don't believe him.
Andre Shashir says Diddy is on live right now with Timbaland, and he said R&B is dead. Now, I did see Diddy tweet earlier, who killed R&B? And, you know, my first thought was Puff Daddy did. Yeah.
He took a lot of the originality out of it.
This is what I will say.
Need some original love songs is what we need.
I think Diddy's biggest impact to hip-hop is successfully merging hip-hop and R&B, kind of like what Uptown was doing, but updating that formula in the 90s. But in that effort, it elevated hip hop to radio play that hip hop didn't have before, but it also diluted R&B too, where it got R&B artists trying to sound more like rappers and using production choices more like rappers, and it took away from what R&B is. It stripped R&B down to the point where R&B had to try to compete with rappers. And there's only a few people who could do that successfully, R. Kelly being one of those guys, but most of your pure R&B artists can't do that successfully. So yes, I would say that is what killed R&B, and if he's at the cornerstone of that merger, you could say he did.
Hold on. Leroy Green just said something right quick. I just want to pull up.
Shout out to
He'd say, I'd say they're rich, Coos, but wealthy enough to move Verzuz without help. I don't know. Here's how I identify wealth for a black in this nation. If you're worth over more than $100 million, that officially goes from rich to wealthy, in my opinion. Both of them are worth over $100 million, if I'm not mistaken, and that's why I'm calling them wealthy and not rich. As in, they could literally afford to spend $10 million today, and it doesn't change their lifestyle. That's wealthy. I look at that like wealthy, because think about what you can really do with $10 million. If you can spend $10 million in a day and it not change the way that you're living, you're probably wealthy, not rich. Rich people can't spend $10 million.
This is what I would say, Coop.
In a day.
I think it's so funny how many, wealthy entertainers and musicians that we have in the sphere. And, I ain't counting anybody's pockets or anything like that.
No,
but none of them actually own music on a massive level. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got famous and rich and famous and wealthy and all of that from music, but only like literally maybe we can count on our first or second hand how many of them actually own music. And we ain't even talking about their own music. Most of them don't even own their own music. Like I see artists out here with, the real flex is to actually own your music or own some music. You're in the music business, right?
You know who owned their catalog, right?
I don't, because
Scarface.
Well, that's great. I never knew that.
Yeah, Scarface owns his catalog. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I be like, that's what I'm saying. How many of them top 10 dudes own their catalog? I know Face do.
Well, you know what? I've heard Lupe say this before, and I think this is a great point.
You don't need to go diamond when you own your catalog, Mike. You feel me?
But this is the thing. Where are you going to use that, right? I think Lupe was like, you can own your masters. I think he was talking to somebody. I forgot who the person was, but it might have been Consequence or somebody like that. You can own your masters, but okay, what are you going to do with it? Because the whole system works with each other. So let's just say Universal owns the system. Let's just say, no, I hear what you're saying, but
hear the system.
Let's just say you own all your masters, right? And Universal owns half of my masters. Universal's putting out this Marvel movie. They're gonna put my music in there because they have stake in it. Now, this person who owns 100% of their shit, they have the whole system sold up so much. We're not putting that in a commercial. This shit's not going to get used over here. You're going to have to be out here basically shopping your own masters yourself. And that's how they try to corner the market with that when it comes to, like you said, ownership.
Okay, but listen to what I'm saying. This is what I mean. So people have to start deciding what it is to be a boss. Okay? Because guess what? If Universal gets the plug and play your song at will and send you a check after they get paid and taxes get paid and everybody else get paid, just like you're an artist and you're fresh on the scene all over again, you're not the boss that you think that you are. Let's go to somebody that we just brought up who is also gone again. Like, let's go to Prince and his whole thing about owning his masters. Let's go to the Beatles catalog, the Mike catalog. You know how much Beatles, Mike, and Prince stuff we have heard in the last 2 decades that we would not have heard had these catalogs not been put up for grabs with the depths of Mike and Prince, respectively.
I was just about to say that. And, I think it was a Capital One commercial. And, I'm going to call them out because it is what it is. As soon as Prince passed away, You start hearing Prince's music, "Let's Go Crazy" on Capital One commercials and stuff, and
Disgusting.
it's like, yeah, I mean, obviously, but you wouldn't do that when he owned it. You know what I mean?
You feel what I'm saying?
And I
And
think
that's
it
what
was.
I'm
I heard.
saying.
I want.
So understand.
Yeah.
So understand that there might be people with more money than Prince when he passed. But this is what I'm saying. Well, he was wealthy and he was a fucking boss. These niggas are pawns
It's
and
all about what you
peons,
want. What
and they got no. They get played. They get played on this ownership aspect, Mike, and they need to stop talking like they're bosses. You're a worker ass nigga with a lot of money that didn't really do what you were supposed to do with the money, which is why you're still working and getting fucked over in public now to the point that you have to file lawsuits while you're fucking over the people and not giving the people money that should be putting in their pockets anyway. Like I want to forget the rappers, Mike. I want to see like the Isley Brothers in Earth, Wind and Fire. Like I want to see those guys get handed $1 million or $2 or $3 or $4. You feel me?
definitely, they earned that.
You suing for $28 million. You're worth $100 million. What about Ronald Isley, who, because of how the game works and sample clearances and stuff, still has never made the money that he's supposed to fucking make off of people using his shit? Ronald Isley and the Isley Brothers have never made the money that they're supposed to make.
You're right.
Fuck you and your lawsuit.
I agree with you.
That's what I'm talking about these puppet ass niggas. They so weak. They soft as fuck.
Michael Williams
of the inside. They soft on the inside, Mike. They don't really have the integrity and the fortitude that they be pitching. They just out there pitching for money. And even when the money looks like it's drying up for them a little bit, how much of this money you think they're going to give to the Isley Brothers? Like, we all owe the Isley Brothers a check. And some kids, and some child support.
They've been doing this since '59. We've been taking their records, and I say we as in hip hop.
This community.
They're the foundation.
Black community.
They may fight the power.
Right.
That is what it is.
We've literally been taking James Brown and the Isley Brother records our whole fucking lives.
You're right.
It's like, we need to be taking care of them. Fuck you in your lawsuit.
I'm with you.
Weak-ass nigga.
Michael Williams in the super chat says, "What's the better album? It Was Written or Me Against the World? What separates one from the other?"
Tough question.
That's a tough question. You know what? When it's that tough, I have to go with the iconic records, and I think that Me Against the World has iconic records that It Was Written just doesn't have. It Was Written has pen work that people can't imagine. But when you got songs like Dear Mama, Shed So Many Tears.
I mean, Dear Mama's just a scale tipper if it's a great album. If it's a classic album, and Dear Mama's like, I thought about this.
There's nothing close to Dear Mama on It Was Written.
There's nothing close. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so we might have to start looking at Me Against the World differently in terms of its classic status. Because I believe even when I did my top 100 list off the top of my head, if I'm not mistaken, Me Against the World is somewhere in the vein of It Was Written, either right before or right behind. But when you start looking at it, that's what I'm saying. It is like, well, it's got Temptations. Yeah. It's got If I Die Tonight. It's got Death Around the Corner. It's got So Many Tears. It's got Dear Mama. That kind of, like, when you say it out loud, it's like,
yeah,
It Was Written and Reasonable Doubt are in trouble.
It's true.
You feel me?
No, you're right.
You feel me? Like Hell on Earth by Mobb Deep, in trouble. Murder Music by Mobb Deep, what you're going to talk about? Oh, no, it's in trouble. It's not better than that necessarily. No. So it's better than a lot of stuff, because when you really look at the records and how the records are holding up and how he's holding up, it's like, well, show me the impactful records on those other classic albums in its vein like that. And then the tipping scale is always, well, Dear Mama. It's like, well, where's the Dear Mama? And it's like, well, that's an L. That's an L.
Yeah.
That's a big L.
Eric Terrell with the super chat says, Swizz and Tim didn't see the McDonald's movie where the guy stole McDonald's brother's name. Of the movie, of the movie is called Founder plus Swizz. You're talking about the owner. Yeah.
Founder.
Yeah, the founder. Plus Swizz said Janet didn't have enough hits for a Verzuz. Listen.
That's actually, people do need to watch The Founder. That stars Michael Keaton in it. And
I heard about that.
It shows you how a hustler took McDonald's from two really good brothers who were based out of San Bernardino. which actually wasn't too far from one of the locations I lived in. I was about an hour and a half from San Bernardino when I lived in Cali. So it's like, no, stuff like that happens. This shit be happening live.
Listen, man. Not to interrupt you, but anybody saying that Janet don't have enough songs for Verzuz?
Janet got smoked for Mike and Prince song wise.
That's just disrespectful, man. Like
she got smoked for Mike and Prince song wise. She can go song for song with them. That is crazy.
I don't understand.
You're not gonna win.
Listen, I don't understand, man. I don't understand the people playing. It's clear. All right, let me keep it real. And I'm trying to fix my words.
Better love songs than both of them. You do understand that, right? It's R&B.
I'm trying to pick my words.
Songs than her brother and Prince.
I'm trying to pick my words carefully.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
I apologize for cutting you off.
No, you're fine. Listen, man. Janet, it's clear that she was blackballed in this industry, right? But to play into that, knowing what Janet has brought to the table in her career, that's unforgivable, man. Don't sit here and continue to minimize Janet and the work that she's put in this industry, knowing the reason why you're doing this is because she's been blackballed in this industry.
She's a titan.
She is.
Man,
Beyonce can't fuck with her record for record. Nobody can.
Look here.
Madonna can't either.
No. Listen to me very carefully. You put Beyonce and Rihanna's catalog together, and then you have a fair fight against her. That's a fair fight. Yeah. Listen to what I just said. You put Beyonce and Rihanna's catalog together, then you have a fair fight. Ain't no fair fight if you separate their catalogs and go against her. She has a Prince or Michael Jackson, Madonna, like James Brown, Isley Brother level, Earth, Wind, and Fire level catalog.
She has a better catalog than
the only black woman with a catalog like that where you can go run her songs down and it's like, Mike, what have you done for me lately? Control, Funny How Time Flies, Let's Wait a While. That's the way love goes. Again, if The Body That Loves You. Like, oh my God, Mike, got to
Love Will Never Do Without
Black
You.
Cat. I haven't even named anything off Rhythm Nation yet.
Yeah.
Black Cat, Miss You Much. Love Will Never Do Without You. Gotta be fucking joking. All right. Escapade, Mike.
Disrespectful.
Disrespect.
Jay Short with the super chat says 10 for a Koofy. Think Triller bought Verzuz to shut it down. We're seeing old school radio everywhere trying to rewrite the 90s rap and R&B history. I do think that they bought it so that they could change it. I think that they bought it so that we could end up seeing a Backstreet versus NSYNC versus.
Do people understand what I say when I say systemic and institutional racism?
I do hear on these 90s R&B and hip-hop radio stations how they're trying to rewrite history. They'll play the real Slim Shady on these radio stations, knowing that nobody was playing that shit in the 90s on rap stations. Come on.
That's when listen, part of how it occurs is they have to appropriate your culture. So that's not just borrowing and using it, that's also buying it and regurgitating it into the version and the form that they want it to exist as. As in, it's okay to play California Love and One More Chance, but we will not be playing Shame on a Nigga by Wu-Tang Clan. And that is a damn shame. Shame on a Nigga has a video. That was a single. You feel what I'm saying?
I never heard Brooklyn Zoo either.
So Hi My Name is going to get played, but Shame on a Nigga doesn't get played. And shame on a nigga for letting shit like this happen.
Retroactively, they're going to play the real Slim Shady over Brooklyn Zoo. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. They're going to play Stan instead of Bring the Pain. Think about that. Think about that. No. Yeah. We as a people need to start thinking about these things that are really happening because, see, here's what happened. Hip-hop had a birthday. What is hip-hop, 49 now? We're 49?
49, yeah.
Okay, so Mike, you and I are 40, so this is literally going on in our lifetime. This is what I mean is no, we have to control this narrative while we're watching it change in front of us because now we're adults. See, we were children in it when it was still becoming a burgeoning and money-making form and format, but now it has.
Yep.
And now we have to audit it with the same integrity of those who started it and upheld it and bought it to the point that it became this viable money-making entity.
I think there's some people who do a pretty good job, and shout out to Rock the Bells. I think they do a good job, but overall, I don't really fuck with those old school hip hop stations. And you know why I don't?
Either, because they don't play the songs that we like.
Not even just that. They still got artists from those eras that are making new music, and they don't play any of their new music. They don't play the new stuff that Snoop's putting out. They don't play the new stuff Public Enemy puts out. You know what I'm saying? Because you remember back in the day when our parents had old school R&B stations, if Barry White came out with something new, they would play it.
They played it.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't fuck with these old school hip hop stations because a lot of these guys are still active and they don't play any of their new stuff. It sounds like y'all are just supporting the catalogs that these artists have no control over anymore. It's a cash grab.
Here's my thing, and this is what I mean about how the culture's even getting audited. Mike, when you listen to an old school hip hop station that's not Rock the Bells, tell me how many times you hear KRS-One and Public Enemy.
Right.
I never hear South Bronx. I never hear Love's Gonna Get You. I never hear Jack of Spades, My Philosophy, The Bridge Is Over. It's almost like they're trying to, I don't know, eradicate the intelligent, articulate guys out of it. Why don't I hear Welcome to the fucking Terradome or Fight Power on these platforms or formats? But I hear, hi, my name is.
Yeah.
Really?
You know what? Welcome to the Terradome might be my favorite hip hop song ever.
Welcome to the Terradome is a tour de force of a rap song that deserves to be played on every old school rap hip hop station at least once a day. Like, how can you be an old school? This is what I'm saying. It's like, how can you be an old school hip hop rap station? It's like, I should hear Follow the Leader every day. I should hear Welcome to the Terradome every day. I should hear The Bridge Is Over every day. I should hear Mona Lisa every day. I should hear My Adidas every day. I should hear The Message every day. I should hear Basketball by Curtis Blow every day.
There should be no repeats. You know what I mean? Like, there should be no repeats when it comes to old school hip hop radio. It's so much to choose from. The fact that we hear the same songs over and over is a problem. Half-Life with the super chat says, what about all the artists Swizz and Tim said have stopped? Well, I mean, are they suing too? I don't know.
Man, kiss my ass with that white man's game shit. That's what I'm talking about again. It's like, well, the artist got stopped. No. That ain't what I asked you, fam. I asked you, since you care about the culture and the people, and you literally have said multiple times you're doing it for the culture. These people that help build the culture, how much money are you putting in their pocket? How much money did you give the Isley Brothers and their band?
You said something with that Isley Brothers thing, man. You're right. These guys built the foundation of what hip-hop's built on, and they're still here. I know L.A. Reid...
Mike, when Clyde Stubblefield died, every rapper should have paid for his funeral and sent some money to his family. Straight up.
You know, I was Facebook friends with Clyde Stubblefield. You know, great guy, man. And you're right. His drum work created hip-hop. Straight up.
His drum work is hip-hop.
It is.
Drum work is literally what hip hop is based on. James Brown literally walked in one day, was like, I need you to double time it. He's like, we don't do that. He's like, we do it now, nigga.
Esquire with the super chat says, Me Against the World is Pac's best album, top to bottom. One of three cohesive classics, and I have three in my top 30, all three. Don Illuminati may be my personal favorite.
Okay, I can go 3 top 50-ish, but I can't. All Eyes on Me and Me Against the World are probably like easy top 35 to 40 choices for me. Not so certain about Machiavelli.
Did we say Pleasure Principle, by the way? I'm sorry. I saw that in the chat. Huh?
What'd you say?
Did we say Pleasure Principle? Because I saw it in the chat.
No, we didn't say Pleasure Principle.
These people are fucking disrespectful, man. These people are disrespectful, man.
You understand? I'm going to say this again. She would give her brother or Prince a problem song for song in a Verzuz. Stop talking this little shit.
Before Michael renegotiated his contract, when she signed over to Virgin, she signed the highest record contract in history. After Rhythm Nation, when she signed over to Virgin. And you know what she did with that new contract? She went out there and made Janet. Under all the pressure of, being the highest paid artist ever at that point. Like I said, before her brother went out there and signed his new deal. But, I mean, under pressure, man, Janet's cold, man.
Well, I mean, and Mike, I don't care about this when it comes to rap at all. But if you want to talk about some star power, listen to what I'm about to say. In the history of music, Rhythm Nation is the first album to have 7 songs reach top 5 on the Billboard. Yeah. Michael Jackson never did it. Prince never did it. The Beatles, the Stones. No, Janet's Rhythm Nation is the first album, 7 top 5 songs. 7. I'm going to say that again. 7.
And you know why I care about it when it comes to certain acts? Because it's quality. You know what I mean? Like if you bring 7 quality top 5 records that still stand the test of time, that's important. Now, if because a lot of things
that Never Do Without You was the last single. Think about how dope that fucking album is.
That's a top 3 Janet song to me.
Hold on, there's a record on there that didn't even get released as a single that's just as good as all the other songs. I'm trying to.
I know what you're talking about. It'll come to me in a minute. Let me get this super chat. Wilbur Sessions says she does not have an R&B banger better than Adore. Huh. Not a lot of people got a song.
Hold on, I think Adore might be like the best love song ever, though. So that's not fair. Michael Jackson doesn't have Adore either, in my opinion.
He does.
The closest thing he has to it, I think, I Can't Help It.
You think so? I was gonna go Lady in My Life.
But either one of those. Pick your poison, but they're not better than Adore. His like love song, like straight up and down. No, but that's because of the originality. Like, how about this?
I think if you're comparing Janet to Adore, she's in pretty good stock.
She getting compared to Adore. That's like getting compared to the sweetest. That's like well, it's not better than Adore, the sweetest taboo by Sade. It's like it's not better than that. It's like
okay.
Right.
Cool.
Right. Okay.
Midget Mike with the super chat says, someone dissing you back then, you dropped the next day. M is washed. Listen, I got a prediction. M's not going to respond. I'm just going to put it out there. LP with the super chat says, classic rock treats their legends way better. They do. To sit there and say that Janet Jackson...
Come Back to Me.
Baby, yeah. I knew it, yeah. I think there's a video for Come Back to Me.
Beautiful. Is there a video for Come Back to Me?
It's beautiful, too.
That shit's fire.
Come Back to Me is great. You know how much
fire we going through? Dylon.
Christopher Hogan with the super chat says, there's no Nate Dogg in this generation.
Anderson .Paak, not true. Anderson .Paak, not true.
You know what? Anderson .Paak deserves his flowers. You're right.
Anderson .Paak deserves his flowers. Yes, he is. Because you can put Anderson .Paak on the Games album, Nas albums, Big Sean's album. Same way with Nate Dogg, and he delivers. Remember All Bad off KD1? Mm-hmm. One of the highlights.
Shoot, connect him with Bruno Mars, and you got the Grammys Album of the Year.
We're not gonna talk about that appropriation. We're not gonna talk about that. We're gonna stick to the entrepreneurial and business side of the appropriation today, not the artist side of the appropriation today.
Well, I don't know what the next steps are for Verzuz, but sounds like
whose name is Computer Blue. They're the Prince fans.
Shout out to Computer Blue with the super chat. It says A2A gotta analyze the telecommunication of 1996 and the 10-year appropriation of gap before the internet reached the ghetto by smartphone. Blacks had no voice. Yeah.
That's a strong sentiment.
We live in a new age, and I love it. I love the fact that we have open communication. The internet has its issues, but I think overall it's a great thing. We wouldn't be able to talk to each other in this way. We wouldn't even be able to find out that certain songs had ghostwriters. Live on A2